Facebook page too.
Oh, actually, go to YouTube. That would be where. If you would do that, I'd appreciate it.
Is YouTube better? All right.
Yeah, because our Facebook thing says we don't have a contact.
Uh, TCD, NMRA Media.
Yep.
I see the CB&Q live stream. January
Okay.
live meeting upcoming.
Okay.
Click on that. Oh, there we are.
January live meeting upcoming.
You'll have to shut down the audio on the YouTube.
Okay, so I think we've gotten rid of the echo, right?
Yep.
Okay. Yep. So I'm hoping I can see the chats and stuff here. Right.
You'll see the chat on the studio.
Yep. So I'm seeing Dan's model railroading journey. He's just saying good evening. Good evening, Dan.
Good evening, Dan. All right. Comments. Okay. Jimmy Anderson is there. Hey, Dan or Jimmy, can you hear me talking? Richard Webb is here. Jimmy, all right, life is good. All right, it is. Boys and girls, neighbors, and friends, I am going to tell you, I am just absolutely delighted to talk to you, because it occurred to me about 40 minutes ago, when I had not heard back from Tom, that he was working. And I knew he changed his job, and I knew I should have known that, and somehow I didn't. And so 40 minutes ago, I realized he was working, and he probably wasn't going to be able to do the StreamYard. So I've been panicking, and fortunately, Greg showed up a few minutes ago, which was my first relief, knowing that at least somebody could find me and life was good. We're hoping Randy Relander will join us later, but so talk amongst yourself. We are going to get started here real quick because Randy's not here yet, and Tom is not here, and I will probably blow this thing up if I invite Dan or one of the other officers to come on. So I'm going to just pretend like I have something official going on, which of course I don't. I'm Ken Ziska. I am the a committee chairman, a past superintendent, and as it says, a 164 scale modeler. I'm joined tonight by Greg Dahl, and Greg is going to talk to us about the Ops Retreat, which is one of the highlights of our calendar year. So hello, Greg. How are you tonight?
I am doing fine. Hello out there.
Greg, if you happen to see anything pop up on the comments that we should talk about, I know how to do some stuff here. So let me, I'm going to try something here. Let's just see. Oh, look at this. So I know how, I know how to do crap like that.
You can teach a dog new tricks.
You can, but I will warn you, if I try to do too many things at one time, it will not go well. So let me read through some events that are coming up, and then we'll get on with it if you don't mind. Let's start on the calendar. Tonight, of course, we're live on YouTube. I'm sorry about not being live on Facebook also. Tom has had this problem in the past, and he knows how to fix it. I don't. So, but So January 18th, starting out, the North Metro Model Railroad Club is having an open house. On the 25th, the Great Tri-State Rail Sale is happening in La Crosse. And Greg, if you know anything about these things, please. I'm just reading them. Have you ever been down to La Crosse?
It was many years ago when I went to that lacrosse show. If I remember right, that's like right on the river, unless of course they may have moved it.
It probably is because it's at the La Crosse Center. I
Yeah.
am sure there's just marvelous deals to be made there. On January 25th is the Amherst show, and I know there's a group of guys going down to Amherst. Greg, I understand you're going down there also, right?
I am. I think there's from the TCD. There's at least 8 of us going, and so
Really?
a 2-day show out in Springfield, Massachusetts. Well, in Amherst, I guess. The 24th and 25th is it? It's Saturday, Sunday.
Yeah, great.
I think
And are you all traveling on the same airplane?
if that plane goes down, the TCD is in a world of hurt. I think.
I'm saying I believe that's a security risk.
Yeah,
I really do.
Well, I know several of us are going. There's really only one plane from here to directly to Springfield, so
Okay.
there's not a lot of choices.
Now the piece that I find most interesting about this is I understand that Tom is not assigned roommates yet. And so as I understand it, you're all going to get all your keys, you're going to throw them in a pile, and everybody's going to just reach in and grab a key, and that's how you're going to figure out who your roommates are.
I don't know what stories you're making up yet, Ken, but I don't think we've got a few people sharing rooms, a few people got their own room.
Okay.
The smarter plan, but we've got a couple cars at least. Like I said, there was 8 of us that I know of that are going. There may be other people from Minnesota, TCD, Thousand Lakes region going.
Okay.
Last year's show, they had total 27,000. So there could be people going that we'll never run into.
Well, I hope, well, yeah, if it's going to be that many people, I'm sure that, I'm sure that's going to be the case. Do you bring lots of money to that?
I wouldn't mind bringing some money. The real question is, how do I get it home if I purchase?
Yeah, I understand from Tom. I understand from Tom that somehow UPS stuff.
I'm just kind of joking. There are places that you can ship.
Okay.
Hopefully I won't run into anything that extraordinary that I would have to somehow ship it. Because that sounds not only as shipping expensive, but that means the show is expensive as well.
Great. So at our February show, we'll count on you for a report. So take lots of video or pictures in that. Then after that, on February 15th, the Mad City Model Railroad Show and Sale is down in Madison, Wisconsin. I've been to that a number of times, and I know Ken Borowski goes down there and he's with his N-scale modular people, and that's really an exceptional show. I don't remember how many quick trips are between here and Madison, but I think that's the highlight of the route, isn't it?
It's triple digits, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure. And then March 9th, the Train Collectors Association is Northeast Minneapolis. Randolph Railroad Days is March 22nd. And the new Randolph Museum will be open. March 29th is Century College Flea Market. And then, of course, on the 14th of July is NMRA National. Going back to Twin City Division events, on February 13th, the TCD will be alive again, and I would say for sure it'll be on YouTube, and we'll try to get the Facebook thing fixed by then. On the 22nd is going to be the Operators Retreat, and we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. March 13th, we're going to have a live meeting, and it said location to be determined. That's interesting. We'll get that. That'll be updated on the website because that is the place to go 14th and 15th is the Twin City Modelers Retreat. That's our 7th annual. And then April and May, we're back at live meetings. So good. Oh yeah.
Yeah, Randy's
Yeah.
backstage, so if you're looking for him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's backstage. Oh, there he is. Thank you, Randy. Thank you, Randy. I've just gone through the show because I didn't see you backstage.
Yeah, I was stuck on the roads.
Yep. So I don't know if you heard me, but if you have anything to add, I would appreciate that.
No, I think you covered everything that's coming up.
Okay. But I do want to really emphasize to everybody that the Twin City Division, tcdnmra.org, is just the best place to go for a calendar. And there's a calendar and an events page because Damien has our stuff put on one page so that it's easy to find everybody. And I see here lots of people are talking about going to Madison for the first time. It's really a good time. It's a lot of fun. We should.
Is Madison next weekend?
What's that?
Is Madison next weekend?
No, I believe that's
Oh, lacrosse.
February 15th. Lacrosse is next weekend.
Yep.
So again, at our next meeting in February, we can talk about things like Madison and see if people are going to go down there and would like to carpool, because that's really always a lot of fun. So great. So Randy, I know you've got a full schedule coming up, and I do appreciate that. I'm going to head right over to Greg Dahl and let him talk to us about the ops retreat. So there you go. I believe it's up on the screen now, and everybody should be able to. Everybody should be able to see that now. So, can you see it, Greg?
I can see it both on this screen and on the YouTube feed, so we should be good to go. You are the master controller, Ken. You're doing fine.
I am. And I could tell you my fishing stories, but then you'd come up with something else that I master.
We'd have to.
Okay, but okay, go ahead, Greg. Take her over.
Okay, so what you're seeing, this is actually a blurb just right off of the TCD webpage. So as Ken mentioned, the webpage is the place to go for the latest information, and especially for the operators retreat. So this is sort of the bare bones information for it, but I'll just give you a little bit of a background. I think this is our 4th operators retreat. We do it once a year, and we're doing it again this February. And it happens to be on a Saturday, the 22nd. Yeah. So what we do is, well, let me talk about the purpose of the operators retreat. Now, some people get it confused with the modelers retreat, but it's two completely separate things. The modelers retreat is, where people bring their models, etc. We have clinics. Usually the modular group might have a layout running. The operators retreat is just simply a day, in this case, a Saturday, for operations. So what we gear it toward is people who've never operated before, or have very little operating experience. The NMRA, if you notice, they have a special interest group called the OPSEG, the Operations Special Interest Group. So there's quite a few people that are interested in operations, but there's a lot of people that they just don't know how to get started, either in their own operations or how do I get involved with a group of people who are operating. So this is sort of our way of attempting to get you at least your foot in the door and get your first real operating experiences. We've got 6 layouts that are top notch. I've been to all of them, I believe, and I've operated on all of them. They're great layouts. And the hosts, I'll call them, are really great guys. So what we say, I think Tom coined this phrase one time, is like, our job is to get you invited to the layout it's your job to get invited back. So if you find that you like operations, it's it's the way you act, it's the way you behave. That will get you back in the door, maybe for the next session or later on. Um, but the neat thing about the operators retreat is, at least to me, is the fact that you are amongst a group of people. All of the operators there are relatively new. Some have never operated before. Some may have had one or two operations under their belt. Um, so it's not like even I have this, I've been operating on plenty of layouts. You go to somebody's layout to operate and you're the only new person. Everybody else knows everything. And so they look at you like you're a complete idiot. How do I route this? How am I getting a car from Wilmer to St. Cloud? Well, idiot, you send it to Minneapolis, and then the Minneapolis to St. Cloud train will take it. I was like, well, how am I supposed to know that? I've never been here. So the neat thing about the operator retreat is you're operating on a layout with all new people. So you're all sort of in the same boat. And I think that lowers the stress quite a bit. And the other thing is that the hosts they've been around the block. They've hosted plenty of sessions. And they know when you have an entire group of brand new people coming over, we're not going to run timetable and train order racetrack, out of Chicago, and try to get every train run within a 24-hour period. I don't want to say they dumb down their operations, but they might make things a little bit easier, just because they know everybody is new. So that also lowers the stress of operating. So those are, what we're really trying to do is introduce people to operations. I mean, because, from my point of view, the difference that model railroading has, say, over, the armor modelers or the guys who build ships or planes, and that is, when we're done, creating a model, you can place it on the layout and the thing moves, right? So that's sort of the neat part, at least to me. I love operations. To me, that's the reason why I'm building a railroad, is so we can operate it, not just to look at it. I mean, nothing wrong with that. That is why I like it. So we're trying to introduce people to it. And sometimes people have a hard time. It's like, oh, I know these are group operating, but I don't know anybody in that group, and I don't know how to get my foot in the door. So that's what we're trying to do here. We're trying to get your foot in the door. And like we said, it's your job, the way you act, to get yourself invited back. One thing that occurred to me when I was thinking about this today is, there's a hidden benefit to being an operator too. And that is, when you go to somebody's house and you operate on their layout, if you are building your own layout, that is the best, in my opinion, the best way to find out what works and what does not work. Finding out how other people have done things. If your plan is to build a 6-level layout with 3 helixes, and you're going to go whole hog on this thing, it might be a good idea to go operate on a layout with a helix and see how it works. Maybe it's perfect for you. Maybe it's something you don't like. How people build their bench work. What DCC do you use? Why do you use that DCC? Do you like it? Those are all great things that when you're operating, you find out all sorts of stuff. Learn from other people's mistakes, as they say. So that, another just huge benefit of operating at other layouts. We do have, as we noticed on here, we do like a Friday night social. We tried doing it on Saturday morning last year. It didn't quite work, and it was my brilliant idea, which was a complete and total failure. So we had a breakfast on Saturday morning, and then we sent the operators out to the layouts to operate. You operate 2 layouts that day, one in the morning, you have lunch, that's on your own, and one in the afternoon. What didn't dawn on me is that we also have the hosts at the breakfast. So you had this problem where the hosts were racing back from breakfast, trying to beat the operators to their own house so they could let them in. So we're going back to what we've done in previous years, which is we'll have like a social hour on Friday night. And the whole point of that is A, to be social, and B, it gives you a chance to meet the people that you're going to be, meet the hosts that you're going to be going to. So should be 2 of them. And you can learn a little bit about their layout, whether it's the CB&Q, whether it's the clinch field, whether it's the Minnesota commercial. how they operate. The hosts usually bring basic information about their layout. They might tell you anything special, come in through the garage door or whatever. So you kind of get all that information ahead of time. A lot of times hosts will do that, at an operating session. They may do something, in particular, when you're hosting a session, like this morning, I went to a session on Ken Borowski's beautiful Clinchfield layout. And, there was, a 15-minute rundown. Well, when you got all sorts of new people, it sometimes that briefing that occurs before the session can get kind of long. So what we do is basically we're doing the operations briefing the night before. That way it doesn't take up like all day Saturday explaining the layout, which way you're going, what DCC we're using, etc. That's a nice way to get to meet the host and find out anything in particular that you might need to know. And then, on Saturday morning, we have at it a couple hours. The first layout, then we break for lunch. That gives the hosts a chance to restage, do stuff, whatever. And then we operate at a different layout in the afternoon. So you get to see two layouts. And it's, we ask for a nominal fee of a donation of $10 that helps, with the funding future TCD events, and also puts a little bit of, your skin in the game, because, rather than just signing up and not showing up, now you've sort of you're involved. So that's the basics of it. I don't know if you've got questions. So if you want to sign up, if you're interested in going, it's listed right there, the blue link, and that's also on the webpage, the operators at tcdnmra.org. That email comes to me, and then I respond to all of them when I get them. So if you've tried to sign up and you think you're signed up and you haven't gotten an email back from me, then you might want to try it again. Let us know, or let somebody else know then. And usually I register all those people. I think I checked earlier. We've got 28 slots this year. So we got 28 total that we can handle. We've already had a few people sign up because I put a blurb out on Facebook. That's generally Facebook and the web page. We try to keep them in sync, but I'll put out some more blurbs, letting people know, and hey, this is coming up. Reminder. Generally, what I've found is I've sort of been the honcho for this in the past few years. At the beginning, I get a whole bunch of signups, and then I sort of ping people ping Facebook, whatever, every couple of weeks, every week. And then I get a whole bunch of signups as we get really close, because then people go, I freed up that weekend. So there's this peak, and then there's this valley, and then there's this peak again. But that's all good. We can accommodate it. So we do. The sooner you can sign up, the better. That's all I'm saying. It helps me out, first of all, and second of is it's a first come first served basis. So if we start running short of slots, I will certainly post that up on Facebook, and I'll let Damien know so he can update the webpage. But it's up to you to reserve. Like I said, we've got the date, we've got everything squared away. It's just up to you now.
Great. Greg, you mentioned that you welcome beginners, and I'm sure you're going to talk about this Friday night. But if somebody was really nervous about joining, what kind of things should they study up for, prepare for? How do you dress? Is there anything like that you can think of that would help somebody that's a beginner feel more comfortable?
Well, I understand why people would be nervous, right? And that's, I think, why some people don't go to operation sessions, because they don't, I'm not really sure what I'm supposed to do. That's the whole point of this was, you're there with a whole bunch of people who haven't operated before. So that sort of puts you on, like I said, a level playing field. So that I hope it reduces the stress quite a bit. Typical things like, how to behave is like you're a guest in somebody's house, and it is winter in Minnesota. So, a lot of these layouts are in a nice finished carpeted area. Number one thing I would say, bring some shoes. bring some indoor slippers, whatever you want to wear on your feet, but change. If it's snowing and mucky and there's all sorts of road sand out there, don't bring your work boots, and just go stomping through the house. That's probably, but that would be if you were invited over for dinner, right? You'd act like a guest. Like I said, it's your job to get invited back.
Sure.
And that's why also the sort of reducing that nervousness is why we do the, as Jimmy says, house shoes. I don't know if people outside of Minnesota or Minnesota and Wisconsin know what house shoes are, but that's also why we do the social on Friday, is to try to lower that. I mean, you get to meet the host, you get to learn a little bit about their layout. A lot of them have, I don't for my layout, but a lot of them have maps, of where their layout runs and what their layout sort of looks like. Some have some really professionally done, handouts. So really neat stuff. So the whole point is to not be nervous, right? You meet somebody for the first time on Friday, so then when you show up on Saturday morning, you've already met the person. You already have kind of a gist. I know that there are some hosts nationwide who have, huge, maybe 4 or 5 page documents of like how the railroad runs, how timetable and train order works, and all of this stuff. Like I said, most of these layouts aren't like that. So and they do operate in a realistic fashion, but it's, like I said, we try to make it so it's easiest for a new person. Put it that way.
Great. So you said that we're going to keep the orientation short and light. That means that the 6-page orientation and the 20-page multiple choice and essay questionnaire that I've been preparing is probably not going to be welcome, huh?
Yeah, Ken, I might have to come visit you and
I appreciate that.
Straighten
I
you.
appreciate
I'll give you a little bit of help here.
I need that.
But that's also what we're looking for on Friday night is, so you get that flavor of the layout, right? So you can sort of immerse yourself into that. I mean, it's kind of I don't want to say it's a game that we're playing, but more like actors in a play. Let's put it that way.
Yes, that's a great way to put it. That's terrific. So, with 28 slots, that's great. I can attest. I've been to the operators retreat, and then last year my layout was on it, and I met a lot of nice people. And last year I had some of the folks that came, took my email address and have contacted me and since been by. And I just run into people at train shows that come by. So I enjoy it because when you get somebody that's not, well, let's just say they're somewhat new, a lot of times when they're operating the layout, it opens my eyes to different ways to run things and also opens my eyes to things that I can do to make it easier on an operator. So I encourage you to sign up early. And Jay said he's already invited someone to come along. Please do that. We've had husbands bring wives, or maybe it was a wife that brought the husband because she seemed to be the one that was in charge. Well, that's probably goes without saying, I guess. But that's great. So hang in there. Hang in there, and we're gonna.
In many locations, the fire has jumped over the highway.
We're getting feedback here. So is that? I don't know where the feedback's coming from, but
I think it's just the background noise from Randy.
Okay. All right. So I want to welcome. I noticed we've got somebody here from Georgia, and we had Mike Penn was here a little earlier. He had to leave, but hopefully he'll be back. The next thing we want to do is we are going to go through a show and tell, and these are some things that were sent in to me earlier today, and so if unfortunately if you sent them in to me half an hour or so before the show started, I was in a panic trying to get this done, so I wouldn't have found it. So let's add this to the stage. And there's probably a way to do this. Oh, let's see. All right. We'll go full screen, and this is for today's meeting. And I've got some words to go with this. And see, I was almost really well organized. Dang. So talk amongst yourself and forget that the goofball didn't have this thing quite correct. Um, Okay, here we go. So I'll go through and I'll talk a little bit about what's here. See, I'm going to have a hard. Greg and Randy, if you see one of these people that are on here that have further comments, please let me know, because I won't be able to see their comments. So welcome to the January meeting. Again, we'll do this next month also, because in Minnesota, you don't have to try to be miserable. The state does that for you. And learn how to spell cities, Ken, or not. So the first slide we have is from Jay Bickford, and Jay's actually got a couple slides here, but as you can see, he's been working on the layout room, and that's pretty impressive. He's completed the primary build of his layout room, and look at the backdrop. I know he said he had a friend that was painting the backdrop for him, and that looks really beautiful. This layout, Jay has told me in the past, he bought or got from somebody else, and you'll see in a little bit that it was cut into sections, and so you can see what a great job he's doing putting it back together. If you look at the very left-hand edge, you'll see there's still one section that's not done. Here is, you can see the seam. It kind of looks like that Category 7 earthquake that they had in Tibet, but he's put it back together. You can see he's putting plates back in to finish it up. But it's really nice because there's a lot of good scenery ready to go there for him. And here's another seam that's being tied together. So one of the things that Jay mentions is he's trying to match the ballast. I live on the Canadian Pacific, Kansas City Southern here in Plymouth, and I can tell you that the ballast changes over time, and it actually changes as they do work on it. So I wouldn't sweat it trying to get it absolutely perfectly uniform, but he's done a nice job trying to match things. So this is really great. We'll get over and take some video for him as he gets a little farther along and he's running trains. Yeah. Let's go to the next slide. Oh, this one comes from, hang on, I got it. Bill Rutherford, who's the treasurer for the NER, and this is his MCP Railway. So he has 3D printed this pulpwood car, and I know, Randy, you've done 3D printing of cars, so that's not necessarily an easy thing to do. I think one of the things that he told me that was interesting is he built the car, and he added Katy couplers and intermountain wheel sets and all that, but then he cut all the wood to put on there, and he put it on, and after about 10 days, the wood shrunk because it dried out. And then he had to add more wood because the load shrunk. And I thought that was kind of an interesting little thing. I can see how that would be a little disconcerting, but uh, really neat. I'm sorry, Bill, you didn't tell me what scale this is. Um, and there's no way of telling because it's a beautiful model. I'm also going to show you the next slide here. This is also on Bill's layout, and again, a really interesting story here. It's the upper level of his layout, and he's roughed in the terrain. Of course, he's going to add static grass and dirt, and then he's going to add some more snow on it. I don't, what the heck, Bill? It looks like you got all the snow you need right there. Uh, the house is a wood kit, and all the rooms in the house are lit, and some have got photo interiors on them. He's going to use a fast clock controlled by LCC, and that's kind of an interesting concept. I've heard of people doing that, uh, but I'm just not too familiar with it myself. The other shelter is a 3D printed shelter, and I think that's really neat. The backdrop is by Lark Productions, LARC Productions, and I've seen several different people that have used Lark Productions backdrops, and they're really good. Uh, I'm not too familiar with them. If you see if somebody puts a link in there in the notes, I'd appreciate it so that other people can look at it. So, Bill, thank you for joining us. And that's another good reason to have these live meetings is you can um, join us from anywhere in the anywhere that you can get a signal. I don't know if you can get a signal on the moon, but if you could, you'd be welcome to join us. The next photo is by Ken Borowski, and many of us have seen Ken's wonderful N scale layout. It's been on the TCD layout tours. But Ken added a flange oiler to his layout. Ken runs long coal trains, and so the idea of having a flange oiler is really a good one because he twists and turns through the Allegheny Mountains, and so having a little oil on the flange is great. Uh, we've been down at Kaposha Park when we hear the trains coming across the bridge and curving uh, into that yard. The flanges really squeal there. I don't know. Are you guys familiar? If I would imagine the flange oiler is going to keep that quieter, but it certainly will save wear and tear on the wheels and the rail. Um, so there you go. It's a neat little feature. Uh, I didn't get close enough to see if that's 3D printed or what he did with that, but it's a neat piece. And as you can see, the little black barrel, that's where the grease is kept, and it's pumped from that into the onto the flanges. The Canadian Pacific used to have flange oilers behind the house here, and it's been moved out farther, which is fine with me because it was messy. Uh, so, oh, you have heard? Oh, yeah, I suppose on Kent's layout, you've probably heard squealing going across Alta Pass. So that's kind of interesting. So, well done, Ken. It's those little details that I think are fun to look at and find. So as you go around on layout tours, always look for little things like that. And I see that Dan's model railroading journey has given us a link to Lark products, and I appreciate that, Dan. Thank you very much. This is from Lee Taylor, and Lee started out with the car on the left, and let me go back and read what he's told. He added decals just on Tuesday, and he's got to find some more decals. He's got to clear cut over them. He started with a Intermountain brand AAR 37 boxcar. He cut the original sides off, and replace them with sides that he designed and printed on a 3D printer. He's had these car sides available for years on Shapeway. He changed some of the details, but Shapeway didn't like that. The big sky blue paint is true color, used an airbrush, decals are micro scale. The prototype was originally built in 44 to a 37-AR design, except the wooden sides were added by the GN. And the GN and the NP both built a bunch of cars late with wood sides because Weyerhaeuser had some of these folks were important customers, and so they felt they had to show cars that still had wood sides to make them happy. If you're want to see this up close in person, I'm sure Lee will be bringing it to the modelers meet. I don't know about you guys, but I just think that's the wrong shade of big sky blue. And you know, I know that's like throwing a hand grenade into a, you know, but I wanted to get the big sky blue color controversy going right away. So thank you, Lee, for sharing that. There's been a little conversation about painting track work, and Mike Jordan, of course, said he uses a forged paintbrush and black latex paint. And Dave Hamilton decided he wanted to show a little more discreet way of doing that. This is one of those hobby brushes you can get from Micro Mart, but you can also just go Google it, and they're about $30, and they're battery operated. You recharge them. Very simple single action. They work great. If they get too gummed up and too terrible, well, you know, you just throw it away, I guess. But because you're not out that much. But thank you, Dave, for showing us that. He happens to use Vallejo paints on that. I've used the spray bomb from the Camel flat black, but this looks a lot more delicate and civilized than what I would do. So thanks, Dave, for sharing that idea with us. Bill Sampson's M&S book is out. And if you were at the last flea market, you saw that Bill was doing a land office business selling them. I touched base with Bill, and he said the blue covered copies are all gone. He has one white covered copy. Oh, I'm sorry. The white cover is the special edition Sioux-line cover. It costs $20 more than the regular copy, and that extra $20 plus more goes to the Sioux-line Historical and Technical Society. This is a great book. If you've enjoyed those color books that are put out by Morning Sun, they're good, but this is way, way better. The information is far more in depth, and it's neat information. He tells you how the M&S decided to use these fonts. He tells you the origin of the fonts, and it's really a great book. $80. Yeah. Mike Penn says he uses a brush and 4 coats of acrylic paint. Yeah. He was wearing this blue M&S shirt at the flea market, and so I asked him if he's going to make more, and he's open to the idea of making more, but he'd have to get commitments from people to do that. They'd be about $40. It's a good quality shirt, and they're all custom made. I tried to get him to model it for us, but he was a little shy. So so there you go. So if you're interested, look up Bill, or if you can't get a hold of him, send it to info@tcd@mra, and we'll get you in touch with him. I don't know why I'm this tired. I think it's trying to talk and chew bubblegum at the same time. Great book. Great book. So look it up. It's a lot of fun. This is Ben Truesdale in St. Paul. Ben's a newer member of the NMRA, and Ben is building bench work. Ben is an architect, and so his bench work is kind of a little over the top, if you ask me. It's cabinetry grade work. If you see this area coming around, that's his spline road bed, and that spline road bed is just, I mean, it's perfectly level, it's perfectly flat, it's really gorgeous. So so that's Ben's working on that. Ben is actually also a 3D modeler, designer, and modeler, and he's done some cars over the winter that have been pretty exciting. So yeah. Oh, this is on my layout, and so what I'll show you here is that this is my downtown switching area, and on the tall building on the right hand side is um, it's a big Minneapolis hardwood and door and sash company. Part of the reason it's so big is that there's two different scenes, and this caps the end of the scene to keep you from looking into it. I don't mind if you look back and forth, but it just makes it a little bit more of a scene block. Ahead of you, you can see a 3-car, and it's a pocket yard. And pocket yard is something the railroads call, some railroads call them different things, but it's just a little yard by an industrial area where they can come in and drop cars off. It's like put them in your back pocket, and then when the job comes in to switch the area, um, they can pick things out of their pocket, put stuff back in, and it just makes it a little bit more efficient. Uh, I hope that my layout's going to be one of the 6 that you get to operate on. I use switch lists, and I believe you'll find this a lot of fun. This is F scale, so the scene is actually quite large. So uh, I'll also give you another tip. I used grout for the ground cover, and grout really makes a great ground cover, but there's 2 issues with it. One, it dries hard, and I mean just like stone. So if you want to uh, if you want to make a change, it's not easy to do that. The other thing is because it's so hard, it kind of resonates. But it's a nice scene and it works well in a downtown yard area. So there you go. This is from John Wittes, and John is a Canadian Pacific engineer, so he goes through the backyard a lot, and so he'll blow the whistle of the train at me every once in a while. When my neighbors ask about why does that train blow the whistle behind your house, I always say I don't know because I don't want to get in trouble. But he's got this cut, and he did this stonework, which reminds me of what they did in St. Paul because they had a lot of trains going through slots like this. I'm encouraging John to take a video of this with the sound system on his locomotive set up nice and loud so you can hear everything echo in the echo through there. So nicely done, John. And then I want to talk to you about the Wilmer Convention. It's 15th through the 18th of May. We had set a plan to have the membership or the registration form out by the 1st of January, and it's not out. And the reason it's not out is Kevin Foley is working to get the ability to take payments electronically and to get one of those little QR codes and all that other stuff. So as soon as he gets that, this whole thing will be out there. But this can be a great event. We've got 6 presentations already. There'll be the celebration room. There's going to be a great tour of the Milwaukee Road yard and Division Point in Montevideo for you to see. Terrific show. There's a special price for hotel rooms, and that'll all be posted just as soon as we get that QR code. So there you go. Let's see if that's it. And then the February meeting is going to be on the 13th, the day before Valentine's Day. So if you'd like to come on and tell us what you're getting your Valentine for a gift, we will be on YouTube and hopefully on Facebook. And again, we'll be here. We're going to talk about the modelers retreat, so we'll have some pictures. If you have some things that you would like to preview for us on the modelers retreat, you can send them to us ahead of time and we'll do a show and tell just like we're doing now. Oh, and he left some PDFs. Okay. Well, so Tom left me some PDFs, but unfortunately, that's above my pay grade to figure out how to do that. So that is our show and tell. Yes. So do we have any comments that I should go back over, guys?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I didn't see anything either.
Okay.
General chatter.
Okay. Randy, anything you've got going that we should converse about?
I got kind of late show and tell here. If you want to, actually, I can just present.
If you can do that, that'd
It's
be great.
That 3D printed truck stuff that I was showing you at the show.
Okay.
Let's see.
Well, Randy's doing that. Boy, I just had an epiphany here, and where did it go? Yeah. Oh, I'm looking for. I'm encouraging everybody to put something together and bring some special displays for the modelers retreat. And the great thing about bringing them there is that you can then have them all prepared so that you can bring them to the convention. So, holy scamoly, what in the world is that?
All the pictures. I think I shared my entire screen. Tone that down a little bit. Share.
Okay, Marty's train shed has just told me something that you have to be careful, Marty. You got to keep things real easy for me. Okay, do you want me to put it on? Okay, there you go, Randy.
Because that photo I showed you on my phone at the show. That's a 3D printed N scale truck that I've been working on. It's basically a replacement for pretty much a standard microtrains Barber roller bearing truck.
Okay. So what caused you to want to design that?
This is mainly a test print to dial in the axle lengths on the Intermountain metal wheel sets.
Okay.
So it's really not any different than the same trucks you can get for microtrains as far as dimensions.
Okay.
But
you just wanted to use a different wheel set. Yeah.
Well, I'm switching over to body mounted truck or body mounted couplers, and I buy those separate, and I buy the Intermountain wheels separate. And to get decent trucks without printing them myself, I'd have to buy, the kind of the pre-populated trucks and basically toss the wheels out.
Okay.
So this way I can just drop them in. But the main thing was that some of those bigger cars that I'm working on don't have. I need the ASF ride control 100-ton trucks for the 36-inch wheels.
Okay.
Let's see. Let me share the other. I got. Hold on a second.
Jay has the same question I do. Is that resin printed?
Yes,
Okay.
it's a Elegoo printer that I've had for about a year now. So that depot that I built at the last show, that a lot of the detail parts on that were printed, the windows and the trim and stuff. I was going to show the.
And Jimmy Anderson asks if your center caps rotate.
No, they do not.
This is N scale, Jimmy. So if they rotated, you'd have a hard
I
time
could- I
seeing
could-
it, I believe.
I could probably make them rotate if I had to in larger scales, but is that showing up?
Hang on a
Actually-
sec. There you go.
Okay, so this is the one I was just showing you the picture of. That's the 70-ton Barber with the 33-inch wheels. And I actually built two of these. The microtrain wheels, or sorry, the Intermountain wheel sets that come in two different axle lengths. So I actually built this one for microtrains. And then there's another one that's pretty much it uses the same side frames, but it's got different bearings on it. So basically, it's the same model in 3D. It's just got the different bearings brought into it. And then this is a 100-ton truck I'm working on right now. You can compare that against is that one? No. That's a reference drawing in the background there. I think this one's a tangent HO scale 100-ton. That's ASF ride control trucks. So that's my latest project. I picked up a couple sets of 36-inch wheels at that last show, so I was going to get those together. I mainly need those for I got those center beam flat cars, and then that other 50-foot high cube box cars that I've been working on need the heavier trucks on.
So Lee asks if you're using Blender to design.
Yeah, that's Blender that I have up here.
Okay.
It's not great for CAD work, but I've used it in the past for other stuff, so you can do CAD-like work on it. It's better for kind of organic sculpting type of stuff.
Okay. Great. So, well, that's terrific. I appreciate everybody's attention. That's kind of what we had for tonight. And I'm sorry we like to go to restaurants because we can eat and have desserts, but you'll have to get dessert on your own. I hope you're all warm and toasty with your bunny slippers on, and you know.
And careful if
that's
you're
all
going out
cool.
on the roads tonight. Even the main roads are starting to get kind of nasty out there when I came back. So
Yep.
side roads are really bad.
Yep. That's why it's great that we can do this like this. It's terrific. Well, we'll do it again next month. But before we go, I want to encourage you all to take a look at the tcdnmra.org website and keep touch with us on the Facebook page. Keep in mind that if you have things that you'd like to show and tell, and you send them to me, I'd like to get them before like noon or 1 o'clock on Thursday, because it helps me put everything together. And then, like Greg was watching me tonight, because all of a sudden I realized that I just imported all of the photos in, and I hadn't sized them correctly, and so they wouldn't work. And so right up until the last minute, I was resizing things and panicking. We put out a newsletter on Tuesday probably, and the newsletter is simply to update you on things. We don't. The Fusey is the #1 regions publication. So we encourage you to take a look at that. It's on the TLR NMRA website if you didn't get that. If you didn't get the newsletter, go ahead and drop me a note, and I'll try to figure out why. Sometimes it's that the national doesn't have your address right, and I'll try to get that fixed. Uh, One of the things I encouraged everybody to do is do a buddy check, talk to your friends in the hobby, make sure they're all doing well, and you'll find that helps you also. You know, sharing things in the hobby is just terrific for your mental health. If you know some of the people that you think just have forgotten to get around to renewing, uh, please encourage them to renew. A lot of good stuff coming up. We are all concerned about the fact that the dues are not cheap, but I'll point out that last year the cost of living adjustment for everybody was 10%. This year it'll probably be close to the same thing, and the national has gone out of their way to cut costs and not increase dues, and that's really what they're trying to do, is to get the costs down.
And actually, if you're willing to not get the printed version of the magazine, it went down significantly.
Yep.
Because even with the normal one, you get the online version of it. Is, you know, a lot of people don't like that, but I personally prefer the printed one. But.
Yep. I've been in talking to when I was at the national convention a couple of years ago. One of the things that they pointed out is, and they threw a chart up, and it really comes down to, as they gain more members, the fixed costs are covered, and it's easy to bring the dues down, and that's really their commitment to do that. So I think that's great. So Greg, you have any last thoughts about the operations retreat that you want to share with us?
Nope. Keep an eye on the webpage. Like I said, I'll also try to keep posting stuff to Facebook. Generally, things don't change very much, but that's always where the latest information is. I've gotten 3 people registered while we've been speaking. So if it comes in at 3 per hour, we're going to be full up by tomorrow morning.
Okay.
So, but I think it'll taper off after midnight or so.
I had a question for you, Greg. You said there's 28 spots.
Yes,
is that 7 layouts then, or is it how many people in a group?
It is 6 layouts at this point.
Okay.
And depending upon if I shouldn't say this, but I might be able to twist a few more arms if we need to get a few more spaces.
Yes.
So, but we'll see.
Great. I think that's a challenge, folks.
It's not always the same people from group to group either, right? Remember, right? You're not in the same group of people from in the morning and the afternoon necessarily.
No, not necessarily. If people ask me, like Ken mentioned, there was a husband and wife team that were from Pennsylvania or something. They were visiting last year, and it just so happened they were here that weekend. You know, I and they said, hey, we're obviously riding together, so I was like, yeah, I'm the one. I manually put together who goes where. So I try to keep people on the same side of town, because about half the layouts are on the east side of town and the other half are on the west side of town. Right. So I try not to send people across town, you know, between sessions. And if you're carpooling with somebody, or something, just put a note in your registration when you send an email, and I'll make the note.
What kind of range is it for operating crew sizes on those ones? Like from largest to smallest?
It's anywhere from small layouts of 3 up to I think I've got one layout that will take 7 or 8.
Okay.
You know, nothing humongous. I mean, I've operated some layouts where it's enormous, but and that helps too. That helps too with the smaller operators. If you have, you know, one host for 30 new operators, that becomes tough if people start having problems. But if there's only 3 new operators, then for the host, then you're fine.
Oh, and then that webpage also had a link to that other group IO for the MNRR operators group. think it was at the bottom. I think Damien put that on there.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And Tom Gazer tells me that he's on his lunch break right now, and he's told me that he's not going to have my head chopped off for doing such a bad job, but I appreciate that. And it's been a lot of fun, Greg and Randy. I appreciate you guys helping out, and we'll do her again next month. But in the meantime, keep in touch and keep model railroading. So, good night,
Thanks, Ken.
folks.
Night.
Right.